Welcome to the Our Team podcast, powered by eXp Realty. Are you an agent looking to level up? Are you someone looking to buy or sell real estate? Fantastic. This is the show for you.
Okay, Stephanie Winter, and I'm here today to host the Our Team podcast with Mr. Eric Tackett. Eric, welcome.
Hi, welcome. Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Stephanie?
So far, so good.
Good.
So today we want to talk a little bit about listings.
Oh, love it.
That is very important as we are in one of the lowest inventories on record. Again, it seems like we keep saying that.
Right. Continues.
So now more than ever, being able to find the inventory, list the inventory, and create the market is important now more than ever.
Yeah. Is it a good time to list my home?
Gosh, that's a great question. Is it a good time to list your home? Well, we are hovering in a strong seller's market. Again, inventory is low. With the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, the feds have kept the interest rates moderately low, considerably. We also just had a down payment assistance program launched by the government. And so it seems like they are doing things to keep the housing economy afloat. And based on supply and demand, it does not seem like there is going to be a market crash or a bubble burst anywhere in sight.
Okay.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I think that's the question that we run into a lot now with buyer sellers is now a good time, or I hear it's going to crash in 6 months, and it's it kind of blows my mind sometimes. But I think what happens is we see a lot of people watch the news, get different things that they take from the media, things that they take from here and there, and really go with that sometimes and think that the world is crashing down upon us, when in fact we kind of think the opposite of the normal economic market, maybe not doing as well, and we might be going into a recession. But for the housing market, that usually means we're going to see steadier prices going up, interest rates coming down. So
you keep your finger on a lot of different markets. You're involved in the stock market, the housing market. You own your own successful business prior to being in real estate. So what would be your 30-second summary or 90-second summary of what's going on in the market if you were to meet with a new client and they've not had any contact with a real estate agent to get any real boots on the ground information, but as a consumer who is maybe, working a regular 9-to-5 job, associates with the same handful of people on a regular basis, watches the same news channels, and doesn't really get that insider perspective, what's your insider take on the market and where we're going over the next quarter?
Well, housing market or financial market?
Both, if you can.
Well, I think the financial markets, I think we're going to see some struggles. Some of those intentional. I think that in order to get this inflation in order, we've got to rattle the cage a little bit,
right?
And
swing
and
the pendulum.
So yeah, I think that's going to cause us to, see maybe a slight recession, maybe some recession time ahead of us. How that flips to the housing market, I feel like the housing market. I have just now started. I've got 3 deals that I'm in working with now. I had multiples on all of those deals.
Multiple offers?
Yes.
And you were representing the buyer or the seller?
I was representing the buyer.
So on 3 separate transactions, you were representing 3 separate buyers. And in every instant with those 3 separate buyers, buyer criteria, each situation was a multiple offer situation.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And so.
And what were each of those buyers looking for quickly? Like price point, location?
What, $1 million.
All 3 of them?
Yeah.
All 3 of them were in the $1 million price
Right.
point. All 3 of them were
9 to 1.1. Yeah.
on 3 separate
1.2.
properties, 3 separate criteria.
Yeah.
So, wow. That's incredible that the over $1 million market is still having multiple offers.
Because there's not much inventory.
Right. And that's kind of where we kind of draw the line too for like regular inventory, luxury inventory is that $1 million marker. And when we see the market slowing down, we tend to see it in the $1 million+ market first. So to hear that we're going into the spring situation and the spring market, and that you've had 3 separate buyers looking in 3 different markets over $1 million, and they've all had multiple offer situations. That makes my stomach flip a little, like 2021.
It's definitely now, it wasn't 20 offers, right?
Right.
But it definitely gave me confidence that this market is different than what the news is telling us.
Absolutely.
The real estate market is much different than what the media is telling us sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that when we're on the ground, we're in the boots, we're seeing it. We're seeing the buyers are buying, and the prices have come down to where they're attainable, or at least value.
Seem realistic.
I
mean, not for the buyer.
Right.
But
and so I think that in my mind is getting better for the buyer, better for the seller. We're almost at that kind of a good market where if you're wanting to list your home, wanting to sell your home, I think it's a good time to do that with inventories the way they are and the buyers.
So let me ask you, what strategies are you using to get your buyers' offers accepted in these situations?
Unethical. No. No. Well, I think coming in strong.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you mean coming in strong?
Coming in strong with price.
Okay.
Terms.
Okay.
Making sure that we've done our due diligence when making an offer. We've got pre-approval. We've got.
And how do you communicate that to your buyer, that you want to come in strong with good terms? How do you communicate that?
I just sit down with them and talk to them about how the market is right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you really love this home, we do know that they're in these last 3 cases. We do know that there are multiple offers on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's come in as strong as we can with the terms that you feel comfortable with and I feel comfortable with,
mm-hmm.
and let's put our best foot forward.
Mm-hmm.
What if you didn't get this house? How would you feel?
Oh, okay.
And I think then that really says, hey, you know what? Okay, maybe I don't need a 30-day inspection period or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we lower our some of those terms down and make them more attractive to the seller, and make that offer more attractive to the seller.
Okay. So you kind of communicate with the seller and find out what terms are going to be most attractive to the seller's situation.
Right.
See how that can work for your buyer, and really try to structure your offer to be, a little bit in the seller's comfort zone.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all working together. We all want one common goal, and that's to get the house sold. The seller wants that. The buyer wants that.
Correct.
So where can we come into a fair ground where that works for both parties?
Yes, we are bridge builders.
Right.
It's our job to
Absolutely.
bring some wood from both sides, and
As you say, we're facilitators.
we facilitate the transaction.
We facilitate the transaction.
We are not parties to the transaction.
Right.
We are facilitators of a transaction. And I have to remind myself that too, because
Right.
we can get very passionate and emotional with our clients, and you want it more for them than they know that they want it for themselves. So what would you say to a buyer who's hesitant about getting into the market, maybe not wanting to compete in multiple offer situations?
Well, I think that when you start searching for a home and you find a home that you love, you're going to make an offer that you're comfortable with. If there's multiples, there's multiples. That's part of what's going on.
Kind of have to risk the heartbreak.
You kind of have to risk the heartbreak
to win.
And I think if you talk to them at the beginning of the process, that we might run into some situations on the right home, the nice home that everybody's wanting to get in, because whatever it may be, everybody wants the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, with a white picket fence
for $150,000
right.
for 2019 prices.
Right. And so do you.
Yeah,
so I think if
absolutely.
you're realistic and set those expectations up early, then it's not a heartache. It's not a heartbreak. It's, okay, I'll swallow that. We didn't get that one. Let's move to the next. And they understand the process because us as an agent sat them down and we talked about what this road looks like as we move forward.
So when are you having those conversations with your buyers? And what do you call, is that a buyer consultation? Would you recommend that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
Do recommend that. This is in podcast 1 or 2. Yes. But yes, buyer consultation. I'm sitting down early on in the process, whether it's the first or second meeting with that.
And how do you express that to a buyer, the importance of a buyer consultation?
How do I express the importance of a buyer consultation?
Yeah, someone's new to the market. They're just getting started. Maybe they don't know who to trust, what information to listen to, right? They've just been listening to the news telling them all kinds of lies for all kinds of years.
Right.
Who are you for them to trust, right?
Well, I think that you have to build that trust to some degree. And I think that the way you deliver and the information that you deliver to them and talk about the process, we become tutors and teachers, and we're taking them on this journey with us. We're not sending them on this journey alone.
We're not putting them on a raft, lighting it on fire, and sending them off into the ocean.
Right,
A little Viking funeral.
So I think it's build that relationship, have that good relationship going to where you can talk about those things, and they have trust that this is how this is going to go, and that they trust what you're saying is worthy.
Oh, yeah. And I would say in my experience, my most successful buyers are the ones who will take the time to sit down and have that half an hour or hour discussion. I mean, it's a huge process to purchase a home, and there's a whole lot of information, and it's all constantly changing. I mean, you and I were talking about you jumped into the market while everything was really hot and happening really fast and quickly. And we were doing a lot of offers with seller rent backs at no cost, no value. And now that the market is steadying itself into a more average pace, we're realizing the hiccups and the issues that come across when we allow a seller rent back. Right? Sellers maybe,
I just went through it.
Yeah, no.
Sure.
And we've had a lot of people go through it in the last 6 to 8 months because, again, still low inventory. A seller can sell their home, but where are they going to go? That's one of the big fears. And so they want to know that they can stay in their home after the close of escrow so that they're not left homeless, which is a very valid concern. But then what happens is, again, we're facilitators of a transaction. We're not parties to it. There's 2 parties in the transaction who are signing contracts and agreeing to the terms of the contract. Right. And once escrow closes, if that seller is staying in the home beyond the close of escrow, that relationship has now changed into a landlord-tenant relationship, which, I mean, even that, the terms of a landlord-tenant relationship have changed over the course of the last few years. Yeah. So we've seen a lot of evolution in the real estate market in terms of transactions and how we facilitate these transactions and how we facilitate these human bodies during these transactions.
And I think a lot of it has to fall on us as in teaching them what that means. What does it mean for me to give a 30-day free rent back to somebody? What does that really mean?
What's the risk?
As the
What's
buyer,
the responsibility?
What does that mean as the seller? What does that mean to me? Because what you don't want is your client, whether you're representing the buyer or the seller, to get past close of escrow, which that's what we're all trying to get to, that goal of closing that escrow, and then them not understanding what is going on at the house now for the next 30 days. Who's paying the electric? Who's paying the solar?
Yeah, I mean,
who's paying the trash? Who's paying, so it's like you really have to be careful and educate your buyers and sellers on what this really means. And the rent back was a huge thing, and I think it's kind of now, I don't know, slowly not going away, but we're not seeing it as much as we were 2 years ago.
Right, we're getting back into rent backs for a cost, but again, on a low inventory,
still that relationship,
multiple offer situation.
Right,
it's a lot of crosshairs. Yeah.
So, what do you do with your buyers when you do your buyer consultation? Do you?
Gosh, that's a great question. No, I like to sit down with them and go over the process, the escrow process. And it's more of just establishing that communication, because
Right.
having open communication during the transaction process where there's a lot of emotions, and establishing that trust and rapport, because as agents, we only have limited time to work with so many clients as well. And so the buyer consultation allows us to interview clients and make sure that, their needs are realistic, their wants are attainable, and that I'm the best agent for the job and I can help them get what they want.
Right.
Because in that buyer consultation, we might find out that I'm not the best agent for what they're looking for. They might not be the best personality fit for myself, something like that. So,
Right.
but definitely my most successful buyers are the ones that will take the time to have the buyer consultation up front, the ones where we can sit down and go over the market and I can find out more about what their goals are, and their concerns and
Right.
their fears. That's really what I want to find out, is like, what are they most concerned about? What's going to give them cold feet? What's their why? Yeah. Like what's their main driving factor
Yeah.
too? Like what's that main deep emotional connection? Because there could even be a deeper emotional connection. There's something so beautiful when you walk into a home and someone has something nostalgic. Oh gosh, I had some buyers in Marietta recently, a couple years ago, now that I remember this house, and there was a pocket door between the kitchen and the dining room. And it reminded him of
Childhood.
one of his childhood homes.
You're too young to remember, but we used to have pocket doors.
Like I go in all kinds of houses. I see pocket doors. I love a pocket door. But yeah, he loved the pocket door. And so, just knowing that was an emotional attachment and being able to
Right.
see that. And, there's so many moving parts in a transaction that it's kind of like a wedding day, right? You can do all the preparation up, but on that day, it's chaos.
Right.
It's chaos. There's so much paperwork flying around. There's disclosures. There's
Right.
documents. They add a new disclosure every month.
and we have to keep up with all that stuff every day.
Yeah, transaction coordination and all that. So
Hey, wait, before you go, would you do us a favor? If you found any value in this content, would you please like and subscribe to it? Maybe even leave a comment? It really helps us out.